Welcome to this episode of RTO Insights, brought to you by APRO, the Association of Progressive Rental Organizations, the National Trade Association for the Rent-Owned Industry, and sponsored by Rent Direct, a division of Nationwide, the country's largest retail buying group. Today I thought we would talk about grit. Think about sandpaper. They measure sandpaper on a grit scale. It runs from 40 to 600 depending on how rough the sandpaper is, how abrasive it is. I read a book, that was the title, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. It's written by Angela Duckworth. It just came out. It's a bestseller in the business trade books. The thesis Ms. Duckworth puts forth is that while every effort is being made in school and in business and in life to identify talent in people, think about the test you took in school, the facts that contribute the most to success in business and finally happiness in life is less talent and more grit, one's stick-to-itiveness. She defines grit as, in the title of the book, passion and perseverance. I have been reading this book during the Olympics. There are no greater examples of people with grit than Olympic candidates. If you listen to their stories and how hard they work, they're obviously talented, but talent doesn't get you gold medals, doesn't get you to the medal stand. Grit gets you there. That's what this woman writes about, and I was very impressed with the story that she told. While reading this book, I could not help but think of some college kids on some college campuses who are disparagingly referred to as snowflakes and buttercups, that while talented in the extreme, they scored very high on IQ tests and straight A's in school, academically very, very talented. They have no grit. At Oberlin College, a group of these students recently sent a 14-page list of demands to the president and the board of trustees, saying they wanted to be paid $8.50 an hour for protesting various things that offended them. They wanted all of the grades below C to be excised from their transcripts because it hurt their feelings and was dehumanizing, they said. They want to create safe spaces on their college campuses so that a place where they can go and hug teddy bears when they are affronted with microaggressions on campus. So that's at the opposite extreme of what this lady's writing about with grit. So what is grit? Do you have any? How much? Ms. Duckworth offers a grit assessment early on in her book so that you can take that test yourself and measure your own. There are aspects of that test that would be very useful, I would think, for prospective employees in your companies. The author's thesis, once grit has been defined, is that wherever you start, however much grit you have, you can get more of it. You can improve that aspect of yourself. There are four things she talks about. One is to find a passion. Find something that you're vitally interested in, because it's very hard to grow grit without passion. Number two is practice. She talks about how much time it takes to get really good at something. There's the 10,000 hour rule that she discusses. Purpose is the third aspect of growing grit. It's a great little story about bricklayers. There are three bricklayers. The first one is asked, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm laying bricks." The second one is asked, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm building a church." The third one says, "I'm building a house for God." The first bricklayer has a job. The second bricklayer has a career. The third bricklayer has a calling. The rent-owned industry is improving the lives of its customers, many of whom are downtrodden, have suffered various misfortunes, and I hope that you have some and perhaps many employees who feel that what they do is a calling. And I hope you feel that way. And P.S., getting rich is not a calling. The fourth aspect of growing grit is hope. She distinguishes optimistic versus pessimistic outlooks. She cites study after study where optimists outsell pessimists in the marketplace 20 to 40% in every business line studied. Part of the hope chapter deals with parenting and coaching, how to breed grit in others. She concludes that the jury's still out in terms of parenting techniques. She goes through various parents of famous athletes. Some have been very harsh, some have been very lenient. Both have produced award-winning athletes, and so she still says more study needs to be done about parenting techniques and coaching techniques. There has arisen in this country a culture of grievance that we're all aware of. The people that champion that culture are devoid of grit. In my view, it threatens what has made this country great over the years. The author of this book, Grit, says that if you want to be grittier yourself, find a gritty culture and join it. You don't have to be an Olympian. There's lots of grit out there in the world. You can find it if you look for it. She also says that as a leader, if you want your people to be grittier, create a gritty culture. She has lessons in the book for how to do that. I recommend this highly. I hope that you are full of grit. I wish I had more. I'm Edwin III, APRO General Counsel. Remember, treat your customers like royalty. They deserve it.